Dinosaurs disappeared millions of years ago, didn't they? There's nothing that can make us think otherwise. Cities are quiet. There are no velociraptors attacking children, no pterodactyls knocking down airplanes. However, where the big metropolises disappear and everything becomes desert, jungle and countryside, things seem to be slightly different. It isn't science that says so, but the numerous testimonies of the inhabitants of these places that nobody visits. They're men and women who walk through the forests of their county and come across creatures that shouldn't exist, creatures out of the Jurassic period, and that despite being something impossible, they claim they are real, very real. To understand it better, let their stories do the talking and show us that dinosaurs could still be among us, even if we refuse to believe it. Number 4. The Monster of Eureka. The Atacama Desert is one of the most peculiar places in the world. Located north of Santiago, Chile, it's more than 2,000 kilometers of harsh and hostile landscapes, are one of those places where you'd never expect a monstrous creature to be attacking the poor inhabitants living in its surroundings. Yet, that's exactly what has been happening for decades. At least, that's what the locals claim, since they have witnessed the numerous attacks of this indescribable beast that prowls the area looking for a new victim. The first sightings occurred in a stretch of road between the cities of Iquique and Eureka. There, motorists used to come across an elusive creature that goes deep into the undergrowth to hide from the headlights. However, the first real encounter took place in 1980, when the locals began to call the beast the Monster of Eureka, after a military man named Hernan Cuevas came across the creature one night when he was in an accident in this place. According to his testimony, this monster couldn't be anything more than a dinosaur. It had a disproportionate size of 4 meters high. Its prehistoric jaw protruded outward in a square shape and was covered with amorphous teeth. Its skin was thick and rocky. Its legs had only 3 toes, and its slightly upright posture ended in a large, immobile tail. From Hernan's perspective, that creature could be either a bipedal sauropod or an underdeveloped velociraptor. But he didn't have much time to figure it out either. Despite his military training, Hernan knew that the best option was to take shelter inside the car, and he did so. The beast prowled around for several minutes, even taking a bite out of the bumper until it gave up its efforts and left the area. Several television programs tried to get to the bottom of this matter, but all investigations ended up raising more questions than answers. All sorts of unusual clues were found in the Atacama Desert. They were related to a wild animal thirsty for human flesh, but no one managed to capture the possible dinosaur that still continues to terrorize the natives of this area of the planet. Number 3. The Creatures of Colorado. To meet the next creature, we must go to Colorado, one of the epicenters of dinosaur sightings in the United States. Here, cryptozoologists like Nick Susick have dedicated their lives to gathering information about strange animals that the natives call river dinos. After more than 10 years of exploring the county and gathering information, Nick is certain that this place in the world hides not just one, but several creatures that are impossible to believe. One of the biggest pieces of evidence in the case came from a witness named Shannon Estesand, who was driving one summer day in 2001. Her daughter was in the back seat, peacefully asleep. The road was clear, but suddenly something changed in the air. Shannon couldn't explain it, but she began to feel nervous, tense, and even her daughter woke up from sleep and began to cry. However, when Shannon turned to look at her daughter in the rearview mirror, she discovered that something monstrous was following them closely. At first, Shannon was practically paralyzed. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. It was a creature more than 2 meters tall and 3 meters long, with a long, thin neck, the legs of a bird, a very marked ostrich-like neck, but its body had nothing similar to that animal. Its torso was disproportionate to the body, as it was thick and hard, and at the end of it, a restless tail the size of a dog protruded. That was simply impossible. Shannon's mind flashed through all the mystical scenes of the movie Jurassic Park, but she didn't have much time to think about it. She stepped on the accelerator in the hope of leaving the monstrous image behind, but to her surprise, she had to increase the speed to 80 kilometers per hour to stop the creature on its heels, as it was running at a speed that was unthinkable even for a lion. Of course, this isn't the first time something similar has been recorded in Colorado. In this area, dinosaur encounters seem to be far more common than its inhabitants would like. Sometimes creatures similar to this possible velociraptor are found in rivers and forests. Most witnesses manage to describe them very accurately, and all agree that they are no longer convinced that dinosaurs don't exist. Number 2. The Raptors of Oklahoma. Another place in the United States where dinosaur sightings are frequently recorded is Oklahoma. Here they are known under the name of Oklahoma Raptors and are generally described as miniature Tyrannosaurus rexes. They are about 2 meters tall and have a bipedal gait, a long, tapering tail, thick thighs ending in 3 hoofed hind legs, and 2 small front legs with sharp claws. The creature is said to have a thick head and a bloodthirsty howl that rumbles like distant thunder, though there's nothing like meeting it nose to nose. People like Phillips Johnson are certain that they have never come as close to fainting at the sight of a creature as they did that July 2008 when he was on a hunting day with his grandfather. That afternoon, the forest was unusually quiet. It was a pleasant place where all kinds of animals found their home. There was no sign of the typical deer. Not even the birds seemed to prowl the area. Unfortunately, it didn't take him long to find the source of the problem. The smell of blood triggered Philip's grandfather's instincts, so they followed the trail to a meadow where at least 9 deer were torn to pieces. In the midst of the carnage, the monstrous dinosaur's snout was covered in blood and its sharp teeth slit the animal's flesh with intimidating ease. Both hunters were paralyzed. They felt they had witnessed something that couldn't exist, but was right in front of their eyes. The first instinct of both hunters was to shoot, but they failed. They were both so afraid that they slowly moved away without being seen. They didn't speak at any moment and they didn't say anything to each other. Grandfather and grandson silently decided to leave that place before sharing the fate of the deer. Of course, like this case, numerous sightings have been recorded in Oklahoma. There have also been several disappearances and attacks on wild animals by a creature that rangers are unable to classify. Although most natives know that it certainly is the Oklahoma Raptor. Number 1. An unexpected recording. When a family sets up cameras around their home, the last thing they expect is to find a monstrous creature lurking in their backyard, right? Unfortunately, sometimes unexplained events occur. Sightings that no one was meant to witness, but that undoubtedly show that creatures like dinosaurs could still be among us. Such is the case recorded by Christina Ryan, a Florida woman who installed a surveillance system in the extensive backyard of her home, not knowing that the cameras would capture a creature that shouldn't exist. Christina woke up that morning prepared to correct any anomalies or call for service in case any of the cameras had malfunctioned. But when she saw the footage, she was horrified. In the video, the dark night was clear, the garden still, quiet, peaceful, but suddenly an unidentified creature passes in front of the camera at an alarming speed. It wasn't a dog or a cat, nor it was some animal that had escaped from the zoo. The creature was simply indescribable and unreal, but something that the images couldn't hide. The creature had the body of a typical bipedal dinosaur, spindly legs, a long hose-like tail, a stocky and disproportionate body, a triangular head, front legs with sharp claws, and is now so prominent and menacing that it could have killed any human in front of it. Christina watched that video more than 70 times, shared it with her husband, and he, in turn, shared it with several people at work. The images were incredible. Few dared to take for granted what their eyes were seeing, and almost unwittingly, the video began to spread throughout the county until it reached Fox News. Other news: numerous viewers claimed to have seen a similar creature in their backyards. Others were sure it was an intentional alteration or manipulation, but Christina completely denied it. That Jurassic creature was real, very real. And although it remains one of the strangest cases on record, no one has been able to decipher who's the beast behind the enigmatic images captured by the camera. However, for many this is nothing to be surprised about. There are numerous indications around the world that numerous creatures from ancient periods are still among us. These are prehistoric creatures that have survived the passing of time, and if you're willing to know more, just follow us. Check out the next videos and let yourself be surprised by the great secrets hidden in the corners of our planet.